fact that he, as being one of the Tzaddikim Hador, his blood was like a kapara for Klal Yisrael. That even though Achiv himself is going to be punished, but it was a kapara for Klal Yisrael. It was a very, very strange thing. There's a pattern that you find among the Nevi'im, that they set up the people to rule, to administer their own judgment. You know, you find that Nasan Hanavi did this with David and Bathsheba with the parable of the rich man with a lot of sheep takes the poor man's single sheep. What would you rule? He should die, and he should have to pay 4 times. And Navi said, okay, rich man's you, right? That's you. So Kadosh Baruch will accept the tshuva. You won't die, but there'll be 4 tzaros that are going to happen in your life. So we find this here also, that Micha is coming to Achav, presenting the situation to him in the parable, and waiting for the king to pronounce judgment on the parable, which is really pronouncing judgment on himself. The Gemara in Sanhedrin talks about the fellow who refused to hit Micha, and it said that why should he be liable? I mean, Micha didn't perform any miracles. He didn't come like Moshe Rabbeinu with the stick, turn it into a snake, or some other event to show that I'm a Navi b'Shem Hashem. A man comes over to me and says, you know, Erev Pesach, give me Malchus. Like, how am I supposed to know if he's a Navi or not? Right? So basically, the Gemara says that somebody who's muchzuk, who's already established to be a Navi, does not have to show anything. Does not have to show anything. Eliyahu and Harakama did not have to make the fire come down from the Shemayim to get the people to sacrifice the korban on the Mizbeach. And Micha did not have to establish his bona fides if he was an established Navi. An established Navi who comes over and tells you to do an Aveira. He was telling him to do an Aveira. Right? If an established Navi comes over and says, no, I'm telling everybody we need to fly to Washington tomorrow, Shabbos. This Shabbos, we're all getting on a plane, Shabbos morning. This particular Shabbos, we're going to fly to Washington to protest whatever. Klal Yisrael needs it. We don't say, like, how do we know that you're speaking in the name of Hashem? Why should we listen? If he's an established Navi, the Gemara says, it's muchzuk, we're mechuyev to listen.
So you're saying everyone knew that he was a Navi?
Micha, right.
And everybody
He was an established Navi.
And that person that he went over to ask
knew he was an established Navi. That's what the Gemara says. He was muhsin. Micha was an established Navi at the time. And, he was eventually going to be in print. It's very also. But that's what the Gemara Sanhedrin says. An established Navi you listen to. He says, the Gemara says, interesting, why would Yitzchok have allowed Avram to shecht him? Not allowed to do that. Human sacrifice is a big no-no in Judaism, right? And Avram didn't make any miracles. Avram didn't do any signs because he was a muhzak to be a Navi. So Yitzchok believed in it. It's interesting. There's actually a beautiful Chassam Sefer about that. Chassam Sefer says that the reason we call it Akedas Yitzchok, when it was at least as much Akedas Avram, is because Yitzchok was the precedent for Masorah. Avram heard from God to do something. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we're not belittling the Nisayon that Avram Avinu, when he thought God was asking him to slaughter his son Yitzchok. But Yitzchok's participation in the Akedah, without God telling him directly, was the first Torah Shabbat Peh. It was the first, I'm accepting Masorah from the previous generation. That's why it's Akedah Yitzchok. It's a very beautiful Chassam Sefer. For those of you who want to look, the rest of the Mara Mekemis on the page are really about about this halacha, that one is mechuyev to listen to a Navi Even if he tells you to do an Aveira, temporarily, of course. If he's an established Navi, that there is no reason for him to make make any sign, to make any miracle before he does anything. Okay, it's an interesting paragraph. Anybody have any questions?
One, but not on the Sukkim so much, is
Mhm.
how the world was back then.
What?
How the world was back then. The wars, I mean, in war, the whole point is to deceive. I mean, in war, everyone knows, if you're strong, appear weak. If you're weak, appear strong. Deception is everything. Why do you have Ben-Hadad saying, I'm coming for you, and I'm going to go for this? So do it. But don't you always hurt your chances by announcing what you're going to do? You have both sides here announcing what their position is. Why do people do that?
Bragging rights?
But what?
The villain's monologue. They tip they're often
These are smart villains. These are kings. These are people who've jockeyed for power. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen now. Why did it happen then, or did it?
Ahmadinejad today will say, what is he going to do if when he gets his stuff?
Well, he doesn't. He does it because he doesn't have the power. In other words, if he really had, again,
No,
deception.
I think the reason that Ben-Hadad does it, I think
To intimidate.
I think the reason Ben-Hadad does it for one simple reason. He wants Achav to grovel. He is there to rub Achav's face in the mud. He says, I'm coming into your house. Look, you are so outnumbered, there's nothing you can do. I'm going to walk into your house, you'll have 20 wives or whatever he has there, and I'm going to have my pick, and I'm going to take, and he wants him to grovel. So that's why he's telling him. And Achav's response is based on what the Navi tells him to say. The Navi's telling him to respond. I mean, you're 100% right. The whole thing is very, very weird. This is not military strategy. Not military strategy in any way. This is, who said bragging rights?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is at least on the part of Ben-Hadad. It's amazing. It's hard to imagine that Achav, just because he's a descendant of Avraham, Yitzchok, and Yaakov, and so Rivka, and Rachel, and Leah, let the man go. It's hard to imagine. Hard to imagine. And then in the very next parak, we're going to see tremendous achzorius on his part. When he has somebody killed because he wants his keren. Right?
So you saw that by Sholom.
What?
You saw that by Sholom.
Merciful to the strong.
Right? Misplaced compassion often leads to great cruelty, which when you see it by Shaul. Shaul is overly compassionate with Agag, and then he's guilty of massacring the whole city of Carmel. There's misplaced compassion leads ultimately to cruelty. It's hard to understand human nature. Human beings, B'chal, are difficult to understand. Next week, Wednesday night, is Rabbi Graydon's Kailil's banquet. I am sort of an unofficial member of that Kailil, so I really have to be there. Can we do Thursday night next week? Okay.
7:30.
Yes, my point, 7:30, yeah.
When Yeshiva brought Israel into Eretz Canaan and conquered the land, what happened to all the nations? Did they stay or they killed them out? Like Aram, where did Aram come from?
Well, Aram is not part of Eretz Yisrael, it's Aram Narayan. Aram is now, it's eastern Syria, northern
That
Iraq.
was not part.
Northern Iraq.
So
But what happened with the Canaanim is that, many were obviously killed and defeated. The only ones that fled were the Girgashi of the 7 nations.
the others were killed out?
And the others were, a lot were killed out, but a lot of them he made peace with and allowed them to stay. And the Navi says they were thorns in our side, so we shouldn't have. History repeats itself.
Hashem told them that they could stay?
No. No.
So it was again, we had Rahmanis on them.
Yep.
You'd think we'd learn.
How many prisoners yesterday?
Learning?
How many prisoners yesterday?
Learning. Okay, if anybody's interested, we hopefully will have a Meir. There wasn't a night sale, but I'm hoping that there's a menu.
What is the date of that?
Or a Misa Sadiq is